Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we have another video talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, man. And of course we are talking about a fanboy again today that goes by the name of Nintendo Prime, because Nintendo Prime is extremely hypocritical, man. So I've talked about the game price increase that Nintendo is doing and how it's probably going to reach across the entire industry. Like, once one company sees Nintendo get away with it, you know damn well they're gonna go ahead and jack the price of their games up too, because I mean people are willing to pay 80, right? And I don't really think that's something we want for the industry. It wasn't even that long ago that games went up to $70, which people thought was ridiculous back then, including the Nintendo fanboy that is now defending $80 games known as Nintendo Prime. So this is what doesn't make sense to me. All of a sudden, game price increases are okay, but you were outraged back when it happened years ago. Back on the 17th of September 2020, Nintendo Prime tweets out, "Sony is charging $70 for all their next-gen games. Looks like they are pushing the new standard pricing increase we all got mad at Activision for trying to do. Hope Sony gets the same backlash. But they won't, because people like them." I actually agree with this tweet 100%. The price increase was bullshit. We were told we would get higher quality games, but that was just not the case. We still had games like Forspoken launching at 30 FPS, now we're paying more for it? Yeah, get that shit out of here. But it turns out he's only thinking this way because it's Sony doing the price increase, because when Nintendo did it, he was completely cool with it. In fact, he came out to defend it and make videos saying he's tired of hearing people complain about it. He uploaded a video where he complains about other people complaining about the price of the game. You know, the very same thing you did with Sony. Where's that same energy? Why didn't you come out and make a video saying you were done with all the negativity when Sony was getting criticized by every part of the internet for increasing their games in price? Could it possibly be because there's monetary incentive in the Switch 2 doing well? Could it possibly be that your channel doing well is kind of dependent on how well Nintendo is doing due to the fact that your entire channel is based around them? If Nintendo is doing better and selling more games, more people are looking up the games and guides and all that sort of shit, and they're watching your videos, making you more ad revenue. This was tweeted yesterday at the time that I'm making this video, well actually 2 days ago. Well, I figured this was coming. Every video in my timeline is about how Mario Kart isn't worth the money. Is any content creator excited besides me? No, I'm not going to make a "it is worth the money" video because I am not interested in that conversation. I mean, if you didn't care to have that conversation, then why are you bringing it up in the first place? It's because, you actually are interested in having that conversation, but you know it would make you look like a massive hypocrite, given the statements you made when Sony did their price increase. You hoped that Sony got the backlash back when they did their price increase, but you said they won't because people liked them. But now you don't want Nintendo to get the backlash because you like them. Now, tons of people are calling him out for this, man, and he decided to respond. Since this is getting spread, fine. Let's talk about, yup, that is me. Reading comprehension can be very difficult. You know, if you're gonna start off by addressing things, you might not want to insult the very people calling you out. It just makes you look like a douche. This is like some shit DSP would say. Sorry you guys are a bunch of idiots and didn't understand what I was saying. Like, come on, man. And now that it's posted 5 years later, nobody remembers the context. Ah, yes, you guys just don't remember the context. You know how I brought up DSP earlier? That is literally the exact same thing he says when he tries to defend his statements. Activision was being blasted for bumping their games to $70. Sony then did the same thing, but barely anyone was calling it out. And do you remember what happened once Sony started pricing their games at $70? The rest of the industry followed, and they started pricing their games at $70 despite the fact that quality didn't increase. So don't you think a lot of people are worried the same thing is going to happen again if Nintendo prices their games at $80? I mean, this really shouldn't be that hard to understand. Once everyone saw Activision get away with it and Sony, they all said, alright, let's go ahead and do the same thing. People are okay with it. Same shit's gonna happen with Nintendo, I guarantee you. I pointed out this fact because if you're going to blast Activision, then you should equally be blasting everyone. Well, that's awful ironic. It seems like everyone doesn't include Nintendo. Look at the heat Nintendo is getting right now over a single $80 game. Not their entire lineup, just a single game. Yeah, it's just a single game for now. But if they are to get away with it, it won't be a single game. It'll be every game. People remembered what happened with $70 games, and now they're being very cautious. It started out as only a single game back when it was $70 too, and now look where we are. This heat did not exist for Sony when they went to $70. Yeah, that's just a flat-out lie. Sony got tons of criticism back when they increased the price of games to $70. Someone in your replies even asked the Grok AI if this is true, if Sony got criticism back when they did this, and it said yes. And I doubt that some AI is going to have a bias when it comes to video game consoles. At Grok, did Sony get any negative press or blowback for raising the prices of their games to $70? Sony faced notable backlash for raising PS5 game prices to $70 in 2020. Many gamers expressed frustration on platforms like Reddit, citing the price as too high, especially with additional costs like subscriptions and DLC. Reports suggest lower sales, with some players waiting for discounts. However, Sony's CEO defended the increase, pointing to rising development costs and the value of their titles. While some fans justified the price for exclusives, the overall sentiment leaned negative, though not as severe as backlash against other publishers like Activision. So no, it's not hypocritical to basically say if you're going to blast one company for a price hike, you should equally blast all of them for it. I think it's totally fair to criticize Nintendo over $80 games. If you have actually paid attention to what I have said this entire time, I literally have been very consistent about this, but why would I need to call out people to blast Nintendo over something they are already being blasted for? I called out people who weren't willing to do it to Sony, but did it to Activision. I was asking them to be consistent. So let me get this straight. You want people to call out these companies for doing price increases, but all of a sudden you're uploading videos saying you're tired of all the negativity when it comes to people criticizing Nintendo? I thought this is what you wanted. Why are you tired of people blasting Nintendo? You wanted all the companies to be blasted for this. I get it. No, you clearly fucking don't. Reading comprehension and now time where context is no longer remembered leads to people thinking this is a gotcha. I mean, it is, dude. I swear to God, man, there's no group of people more hypocritical than Nintendo fanboys, and keep in mind, I'm talking about the fanboys and not regular fans who just enjoy Nintendo games here. I'm talking about the extremist motherfuckers. Like, I mean, take a look at emulation, for example. They will speak out against emulation until the fucking sun comes down. But the second they get the opportunity to pay for an emulator sold to them by Nintendo, they'll gladly do it. All of a sudden, this whole emulation bad thing goes out the window when they have to pay for it. Now, people are shitting all over this response, and I gotta be honest, rightfully so, let's go over some of the quote retweets. Nintendo fanboys are on a different level. No one was calling out Sony for $70 games? In what social media platform were you on that people weren't calling out $70 priced games? That's still fucking happening today. What did you think would happen with $80 price-based games? Sony then did the same thing, but barely anyone was calling it out. Were you in a coma for the past 5 years when everyone else was bashing at Sony for not only raising their game prices to $70, but making it the standard as well? This is the textbook definition of hypocrisy, bro. Just accept the own, you pathetic freak. Nobody blasted Sony, and what reality do you bozos live in? Now you backpedaling into lies for Nintendo. Do better. Are you only bringing up Activision because they are the only ones popping up in your head? Look, man, no one was happy about the $70 USD price tag on Call of Duty since Vanguard Cross-Gen, and it being normalized in the end. Same case with Sony. But yeah, man, this is like the textbook definition of hypocrisy, dude. And I'm glad this guy's getting the backlash he deserves for this. Obviously, I don't think he's a terrible person or anything, I just think he's a fanboy. If you take issue with people calling out obviously greedy practices, then you are a fanboy. That is the end of discussion. And you are especially a fanboy if you run damage control for certain companies when they do price increases and you don't for others. Nintendo is doing the same shit that Sony did. So keep that same energy, man. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike and a mean comment. And that's pretty much everything I gotta say. Alright, peace y'all.